The C80, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting video production trend kind of cameras that I personally have gotten my hands on. In that, we see through iteration functions and features that start off in bodies that are unaffordable for most people tend to get democratized into more affordable and widely accessible bodies for everyone eventually. Specifically in the C80, we get the 6K full frame sensor from the more expensive, double-priced Big Brother in the C400, matched with the body of the older C70 that people widely loved. And that's why this week, after about a month of use, I want to give you some of my first impressions and really explain why I like it, a couple of reasons why I haven't, and maybe one thing that I'd like to see in the future. So, let's talk about it. Now, since shooting with the C80, something that I've noticed with this body specifically is that it is one that you don't necessarily have to build out. You can, of course, if you want to, and a lot of people do for a lot of situations, but one thing that I personally love is a body, in this case, that comes with so much function already baked right in. With dual mini XLR ports, you can pipe in high-end professional audio directly into your footage. For power, it comes in box with a BP A30N battery to give you a 3200 milliamp battery power source to hopefully power your long-form content. You also get 12 function buttons that are physically located around the body to give you mappable controls so you don't have to go into the menus necessarily, if you're into that. But to go back to the screen for a second, you also get the touch flip out screen that we all appreciate with digitals now, so you can go into the menus and adjust as you need to. And that all goes along with 10 stops of internal ND to give you the ability to adjust for exposure in the most difficult situations as quickly as possible, which in itself could be a video. But then you also get dual SD card slots, which give you the ability for relay and dual card recording, which will inevitably help you out on those longer shoots. And of course, that's all married again with the 6K full frame CMOS back illuminated sensor from the C400 that will give you the best image that you possibly can get for your projects that need it in varied situations all around your style. But yes, realistically, I get it. All of that function and feature mean nothing if your image quality isn't that great. Thankfully, though, in the C80, that's not an issue at all, and unsurprisingly, you can get an incredible image almost seamlessly, in my opinion. And I think that's really in part from the Digic DV7 processor matched with something like the AF2, which inevitably gives you that crisp, official, cine-looking footage that you can easily capture and move on from one shot to the next. Now remember, this camera specifically gives you the ability to shoot in C-Log 2, which through the use of log profiles gives you the flattest image to give you the most ability in post to create and capture and retain and alter all of that data that you captured initially. And when you map that along with the ability to shoot raw straight off the sensor, you can capture that footage that you can then adjust to your taste later on, which inevitably gives you the ability to not only capture great footage, but more importantly, hone your craft and learn skills like color grading and shooting in log and all of the things that come along with it. So for me, in my opinion, the image in itself is incredible. But let's step back for a second and talk about the codecs, because they are a big part, in my opinion, of something that I personally have loved about the image and how you can process it. You do get the option to shoot raw if you want to, both in ST and LT through different means, depending on how you want to set the actual image. But you also get a bunch of different flavors of 422 10-bit that give you the ability to get almost raw-like quality, but also with the caveat that you can save some data if you need to. Because we all know card space is precious and it is expensive to have to buy new cards. So that's something that I've noticed. I don't know if anybody else has, but I definitely have. And for me, that is what I've been doing. But hey, while writing this, I felt like it would be necessary to bring in some cons, some things that I've noticed in the first impressions that I really have not absolutely loved and want to bring them to you here. The first thing that I really wrote down when I was going through these things and things that I noticed while using the camera was first off CF Express. And I feel like that it got entered into other cameras like the R5C, and I would love to see it here, maybe in the next body, because we didn't get it with the C80. And I feel like there are features that we'll talk about in a second that didn't get implemented, at least initially, at this point because of the lack of CF Express. And the fact that those features you don't get purely because of the media choice, it's not great. I don't love it. I wish we got it, but we didn't. I don't mind necessarily dual SD because of the ability to still record and relay and have that ability to go from card to card, which is awesome, and SD is readily available. But I would love to have seen it. And then on top of that, when you think about how CF Express, when you talk about a 512 SD versus 1 terabyte, CF Express Type B is almost the same price, it's a little bit tough to swallow. The second thing that I really noticed that I really did not love about this camera, which might be a little bit of a nitpick for somebody, but for me it's something that I noticed, in that I don't love the thumbstick on the back of the camera. I personally would have loved to seen it maybe get a little bit bigger, maybe put it somewhere else, whatever you need to do to make it a little more responsive, because I think initially this particular thumbstick is just not great. And I don't love it, and I love having the ability to use physical touch when it comes to implementing like inputs into the camera compared to having to just use the touchscreen all the time. And again, it might be just something for me, but it's something that I would love to have seen enhanced, made better, and definitely fixed in the next body. But the third thing that I think that really I would love to see, especially now that we've seen the C50 come out, is open gate. In the fact that at launch, the C50 will get open gate recording, meaning you can use the entire sensor versus a portion of it. Really, open gate just gives you the ability to do things like anamorphics, or if you want to shoot for both socials and wide formats at the same time, it helps with that kind of stuff. And the fact that the C50 will get it at launch, and the C400, which this camera, the C80, shares a sensor with, will get it in a firmware later this year, it makes me say that I want it for my camera as well. And maybe because of that problem with the CF Express thing, we didn't get it necessarily, but inevitably I would love to see it in a firmware as well, even if it has to be done externally. Whatever the case, just don't hold it back is all I'm saying. Give it to me in some way, especially if it shares the same sensor of the same camera that you're going to give it to in November. You know what I'm saying? So inevitably, those are the things that I noticed. And those are the things that I would like to see either enhanced in a firmware or in the next body. So it seems I've lost my shady spot here. So I'm going to wrap this up as my first impressions of the C80 and say this, that there are plenty of things that I would love to see either adjusted in the next body or through a firmware, but inevitably, this is a camera that I personally, in the time that I've used it, absolutely loved. And if you are interested in more content, or you have any questions, or if any of these things resonate with you, make sure to leave a comment down below in the description before you get auto-played into the next video, So do that. Make sure to hit the subscribe button while you're down there, and check out the usual links for Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. They're there in the description, as they always. But as for me, I just want to say thank you for checking this one out, and I will see you guys, as always, as per usual, in the next one. Before I get a giant suntan burn thing. See you guys later. Peace.